There's a moment that happens in relationships like this that almost nobody talks about. It's late. Your phone is face down beside you. You told yourself you wouldn't check it again, but you do. Still nothing. No text, no thinking of you, no real explanation for why someone who used to lean in now feels so distant you can almost feel the cold coming through the screen. And the worst part is, when they do come back, they act normal enough to make you question your own pain. So you sit there in that strange kind of silence, half hurt, half hopeful, wondering if you're asking for too much or just asking the wrong person. And in your head, it sounds like this. Why do I miss someone who barely shows it back? Why does pulling closer make them disappear? If I stop trying, will they even notice? Am I losing them? Or am I just losing myself? Here's the truth nobody tells you. An avoidant doesn't pull away because you meant nothing. They usually pull away because closeness started to feel like pressure, and pressure makes their nervous system run even when their feelings are real. So no, you're not failing at love. This is not proof that you're too much, and it does not automatically mean they never cared. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what actually makes an avoidant feel your absence, what quietly pushes them further away, and how to become impossible to ignore without begging, chasing, or saying a word. Let's get into it. Most people think making an avoidant miss you is about strategy, about timing, about not texting first, about playing hard to get. But the real truth is deeper than that. What makes an avoidant feel drawn back is not your performance, it's your emotional position. Because your partner's nervous system is reading you before their mind can explain you. If you're chasing, clinging, over-explaining, or quietly collapsing beneath the surface, they don't just feel your love, they feel your urgency. And urgency, to an avoidant nervous system, often registers as danger. Not because you're dangerous, but because somewhere in their emotional wiring, closeness got linked with pressure, engulfment, expectation, or the loss of self. That's why this gets so painful. You try harder because you care more. They withdraw more because they feel more overwhelmed. And then both of you misread each other. You think, if I mattered, they'd come closer. They think, if I get closer, I'll disappear inside this. That is the cycle. That is the drift. And honestly, that is why so many good people end up feeling unwanted when what they're actually looking at is unhealed attachment playing out in real time. So if you want an avoidant to miss you, this is not about becoming colder, not becoming manipulative, not pretending you don't care. It's about becoming emotionally steady enough that your absence feels different, clearer, safer, real. And once you understand that, everything starts to change. 1. Stop chasing the withdrawal. Most couples make the same move here. One person feels the distance, panics, and reaches harder. More texts, more what's wrong, more trying to get clarity from someone who is already emotionally flooded. Most people in relationships think pursuit proves love. But with an avoidant, constant pursuit often lands like emotional crowding. Here's the deeper truth. An avoidant usually doesn't feel your pursuit as romance. They feel it as pressure on a nervous system that already struggles with too much closeness, too much expectation, too much unspoken responsibility. So the more intensely you reach, the more their walls go up. Not because they don't care, because somewhere inside, their body is saying, I can't breathe in here. That's the part most couples never see. You can hear the difference in real life. The disconnecting version sounds like, "Why are you acting weird? Can you just tell me what's going on? I'm tired of this." The connecting version sounds like silence with self-respect. You stop flooding the space. You stop sending the fourth text. You stop demanding immediate emotional access. And in that quiet, something in them starts to register, they're not pulling on me right now. That matters more than you think. Because when you stop chasing the withdrawal, your absence stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like space they can finally feel you inside of. 2. Become calm, not convenient. Here's the part no one talks about. Most couples confuse being available with being grounding. So they stay hyper-accessible, always there, always responsive, always emotionally on call. They think, if I'm easy enough to love, they'll choose me. But most people in relationships don't realize that over-availability can slowly erase the sense of your separate presence. The deeper truth is this. Avoidants often don't miss what feels permanently accessible. They miss what feels emotionally solid, self-connected, and real. Not distant, not cruel, not playing games, but rooted. Because when you become someone whose life is full, whose energy is not organized around managing their inconsistency, your presence changes shape. You stop feeling like pressure. You start feeling like value. So instead of, "I'm free whenever you want to talk," the old pattern sounds like a quiet self-abandonment. The new pattern sounds like, "I'm heading out with friends tonight. Hope you have a good evening." Short, warm, complete. No hook underneath it. No hidden plea for reassurance. And in their inner world, something often flickers. Wait, they're okay without me. That's not what makes them leave. That's what makes them feel your absence. And when you do that, you stop being emotionally convenient and start becoming someone whose presence carries weight. 3. Let the silence tell the truth. This is where it gets really interesting. Most couples are terrified of silence, so they fill it. They explain, justify, soften, reopen, circle back, send one more message to make sure they were understood. Most people in relationships think more words create more connection. But with avoidant dynamics, too many words can become a way of chasing certainty that the relationship cannot hold in that moment. The deeper emotional truth is that silence exposes what effort has been covering. Silence is not always disconnection. Sometimes silence is the only place reality can finally breathe. If you are always the one keeping the thread alive, they never get to feel the thread go missing. And if they never feel the missing, they never fully confront the longing beneath the surface. So the disconnecting version sounds like, "Just tell me where we stand. I deserve an answer. I can't do this." The connecting version, strange as it sounds, may be no message at all. No dramatic exit, no paragraph, no emotional performance. Just your energy pulling back into your own life. Not to punish, not to manipulate, but to stop interrupting the natural consequence of emotional distance. And that's when their mind sometimes finally gets quiet enough to hear what their heart has been saying. Why does it feel different now? That's the shift that allows your absence to become a mirror instead of just more noise. 4. Give them what pressure never could. And here's what changes everything. Most couples assume that if someone is withdrawn, The answer is more confrontation, more definitions, more intensity. Push the conversation, push the label, push the vulnerability. But the real truth is almost the opposite. What looks like stonewalling is often someone who has been so overwhelmed for so long that silence became the only protection they had left. This doesn't mean you accept crumbs. It doesn't mean you excuse emotional unavailability. It means you understand the nervous system before you interpret the behavior. An avoidant often misses the person who felt safe, not the person who made them feel managed. Not louder conversations, not better arguments, not one perfectly worded final text, but a steady emotional field that didn't make closeness feel like losing themselves. So instead of, "We need to talk about this right now," imagine the connecting version. "You don't have to answer tonight. I just wanted to be honest about how I feel." One creates compression, the other creates room. One says, "Handle my distress now." The other says, "I can hold myself and still tell the truth." And inside them, what often lands is unspoken but powerful. "I'm not being forced right now. I can actually feel this." And when you offer space without abandoning your own dignity, their walls don't get rewarded. They start to soften on their own. 5. Become the mirror of what they lost. And this is the one most couples never figure out. Most people focus so hard on getting the avoidant back that they stop being the version of themselves the avoidant was actually drawn to in the first place. They become more anxious, more reactive, more consumed, which makes sense. Pain does that. But most couples don't realize that desperation changes the emotional texture of connection. The deeper truth is that avoidants often miss energy before they admit they miss the person. They miss your lightness, your self-respect, your warmth without demand, your presence without emotional grabbing. Because intimacy isn't built in the dramatic moments, it's built in the 30-second ones. The glance, the ease, the feeling that being near you didn't cost them their nervous system. So the disconnecting version sounds like this. You finally see them, and your whole body says, "Why did you disappear on me?" Even if the words stay polite, the emotional charge is everywhere. The connecting version is different. Calm eye contact, a grounded smile. "Good to see you." That's it. No punishment in your tone, no audition for their attention. And bro, that lands. Because their internal world starts whispering, "They're different. They're not pulling. Why do I feel drawn in?" That's when your energy stops asking to be chosen and starts reminding them what it felt like to be with someone real. 6. Protect your mystery by rebuilding your life. But here's what nobody explains. Most couples think being missed is created by distance alone. It's not. Distance by itself can feel empty. What makes someone miss you is the sense that your life is moving, deepening, becoming, with or without their participation in it. The psychological truth is simple. Avoidants often feel safest approaching what is not trying to trap them. So when your life becomes full again, not performatively but genuinely, you stop feeling like a waiting room. You become motion, presence, direction. And that creates the kind of mystery that doesn't come from games. It comes from self-return. So the disconnecting version is posting things just to provoke them. Little breadcrumbs, strategic stories, manufactured scarcity. That energy always leaks. The connecting version is quieter and stronger. You actually go live. You re-enter your routines. You laugh with friends. You sleep better. You make decisions. You come home to yourself. And if they happen to notice, what often moves through them is, they're not frozen where I left them. That hits deep. Because when you rebuild your life, your absence stops feeling like emptiness and starts feeling like something they may have truly lost. 7. Make coming back feel different. This is the last part, and honestly, it's the part that matters most. Most couples think the goal is to get the avoidant to return, but getting them back is not the same thing as changing the cycle. If they come back to the same emotional climate, the same pursuit, the same unspoken resentment, the same fear beneath the surface, the pattern simply restarts. The deeper truth is that an avoidant misses not just a person, but the possibility of a different relational experience. This isn't a communication hack. This is just what two emotionally mature people naturally do. They create connection without control, truth without threat, presence without engulfment. Because your nervous system in a conflict is like a smoke detector. It cannot always tell the difference between emotional pressure and actual danger. So if nothing about the feeling of the relationship changes, their body will still run, even if their heart wants to stay. So the disconnecting version sounds like, if you're back, then prove it. Understandable, human, but loaded. The connecting version sounds more like, if we do this again, it has to be different, more honest, more steady, more real. One invites shame, the other invites repair. And that's when something in them may finally say, maybe closeness doesn't have to cost me who I am. And when you do that, the relationship stops feeling like a trap to escape and starts feeling like a refuge worth returning to. So if you've been wondering how to make an avoidant miss you, here's the real answer. You don't do it by chasing harder. You don't do it by disappearing to manipulate them. You don't do it by becoming colder than you really are. You do it by becoming more grounded, more whole, more emotionally available to yourself. Because when you stop organizing your entire inner world around whether they choose you, your energy changes, your presence changes, your standards change. And whether they come back or not, you stop leaking yourself just to keep someone close. That is the real shift. That is the real power. That is what they feel. This isn't a checklist. It's an invitation to show up differently. To stop confusing love with pursuit. To stop calling self-abandonment connection. To become the kind of partner who brings safety, clarity, and truth into the room, without losing themselves in the process. And when you internalize that, you stop trying to make someone miss you and start becoming someone unforgettable.